Okay, I need a puppy up here. It worked. Hey besties, what is up? How are you? Well, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. We just had a little dog switcheroo there. Don't worry, Willow's still over there. But my name is Bridget, this is Winston, Willow's over there, and today we're gonna rate some TikTok books. If you have spent any time on Book Talk lately, then you know it's full of hype about certain books. I'll be honest, I am so easily influenced. So I've read a lot of them. So today I'm going to dive into some of the popular Book Talk books that I have read and let you know if they're worth the hype. There are definitely some that hit and some that miss. So if you've been curious about whether these Book Talk favorites are worth your time, keep on watching. Let's get into it. The first book that I want to talk about is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is the first book in the Twisted series. This was first published in April of 2021. It currently has a 3.73 Goodreads rating, and it has over 1 million ratings. This one is a brother's best friend, a billionaire trope, grumpy sunshine. I don't know if this is a trope, but the male main character is tall, brooding, dark-haired. I read this book at the beginning of 2023 and have not read it since, but when I did read it, I gave it a 2.5 stars. I overall didn't love the male main character, Alex. He was a little creepy and just like out of touch overall. I do think that the story in the book started off really strong, but it did end up falling flat for me in the end. I feel like it kind of lost momentum maybe. I wouldn't say that this book is inherently bad, but I think that there's better options if you're looking for a best friend's brother's trope. Not bad, but not worth the hype, I'd say. Next is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I want to start off by saying this is not a Fourth Wing hate account, so if you're looking for that, just skip ahead. Skip this because I loved this book. This one has a 4.58 star rating on Goodreads. It also has almost 2 million ratings on Goodreads. This book was first published in May of 2023. It went super viral on Book Talk for the dragon sprayed edges of the first editions. There's videos everywhere of people hunting for those first editions. Honestly, I don't really want to talk about the first editions, but I will. But I had one in my hand. I was in Walmart, I had one in my hand. I hadn't heard much about this other than like that it was good. I'd seen it a couple times on Book Talk, but like didn't really know much about it. And I was on a book buying ban, so I picked it up, I saw it, saw the sprayed edges. I was like, that's cool, don't know if it's my vibe. I put it back and I didn't buy it because I was trying to be responsible. So if you do happen to have your hands on a first edition copy of this book, they are selling for upwards of $500 right now. But be careful if you're looking to buy a first edition, because a lot of people are starting to spray edges of like not first edition books to make it look like first editions. So just keep your eyes peeled so you don't get scammed. Following the TikTok craze of the first editions, this book did end up like selling out. You could not get your hands on a copy. So a lot of people ended up having to pre-order the book, myself included. Wasn't a first edition, didn't get sprayed edges. This book is a romantasy. It takes place at a war college. There are like kind of trials. I heard someone talking about how this one is similar to Divergent in the way that you have to like fight for your spot. This book is about dragon riders, fated mates, like with the dragons, also enemies to lovers for sure. There are magical powers to anyone who is bonded to a dragon. It's 100% worth the hype. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. This is the first like dragon fantasy that I've ever read, and I ate it up. I read it so quickly. Also, the end of the book was amazing and horrible and heartbreaking and incredible and the best thing that I've ever read, and also the worst thing I've ever read. So good. In my lifetime of reading, which I've been like a pretty hardcore reader for the past couple of years, I've only ever reread 2 books, and this is one of them. Furthermore, I will accept no criticisms about this book at this time. Thank you. The next book I want to talk about is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book has a 4.31 Goodreads rating and has almost 3 million ratings on Goodreads. So this one I think is by far the most read. This one is a romance slash thriller ? It's both, I think. This story follows the female main character who is a writer that's hired by a family to ghostwrite for an author who's in a coma following an accident. The female main character then moves into the house with the husband and the son of the author that's in a coma. The author is also staying in the house while she's in a coma, so I'm pretty sure she has a nurse there taking care of her. The female main character eventually goes to the house, gets set up to write in the author's office. While she's in there, she finds a manuscript written by the author with some pretty intense stuff. I gave this book 5 stars when I read it, and again, I stand by that. I believe I read this at the beginning of 2021. This was probably like at the start of my reading journey. The end of this book will leave you speechless. Truly speechless. There's a lot of hype around this book, but there's also a lot of hype around the author, Colleen Hoover. She just had her book, It Ends With Us, released as a movie starring Blake Lively, and that one's also very good. I loved the book, and the movie was really good. Actually, did I love the book? I don't know. I liked the book, but the movie was incredible. So definitely check that out if you're interested. But yeah, I don't think that she's written very many thrillers aside from this. Maybe she has one other book that is considered a thriller, but she primarily writes romance novels. So overall, I do think that this book is worth the hype. Check it out if you're interested. Next is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This one actually might be the least popular of all the books that I'm talking about today, but this one has a 4.24 star rating on Goodreads. It only has 300,000 ratings. I say only because that last book had almost 3 million. But that's still a lot. 300,000 ratings is still a lot. This one was published in January of 2023. It is a romantasy novel. This story follows the female main character, Peyton, who lives in a world where ordinaries, people without power, are banished from the city. She is an ordinary, and she's forced to hide her lack of powers by posing as a psychic while thieving in the slum. Eventually, she finds out she's been chosen to compete in the Purging Trials, which is a competition created to showcase the powers of the elites, so the people with strong powers, and she has to fight her way through it. I think that the story is okay. Overall, I don't think that this book is worth the hype that it's received. I gave it 2 stars. My biggest criticism of this book is that the writing style was super repetitive and overly descriptive, which is just not my cup of tea. The very first page of this book, if you can get your hands on it, go to the bookstore, the library, wherever it is, read the first page. If you vibed with the first 2 pages, then I'd say go ahead and read it, but it's a very good depiction of what the rest of the book is like. So if you don't vibe with the first 2 pages, honestly, I say skip it. Also, some of the plot points in this book are super familiar. The trials were giving Hunger Games a little too closely for my liking. I just think that some parts of the story were just predictable, which I don't enjoy. I also want to add that I did not enjoy the ending of this. I feel like a lot of things happened that I just don't think fit the rest of the story. There were actions taken by characters that I don't think fit those characters. I also want to add that there is a pretty good amount of controversy online on Book Talk about the story and saying that the story is too similar to the Hunger Games, and they claim that the author took parts of their favorite novels and just put them all together. And I also want to add that all of this is alleged. So I don't know. So overall, I don't think that this book is worth the hype, but it is a fun story. It's pretty fast paced. Like I said, go read the first 2 pages of this book. If you vibed, then pick it up. If you didn't vibe, then it's maybe not for you. The last book that I'll be talking about today is Happy Place by Emily Henry. This one has a 3.99 rating on Goodreads. It also has nearly 1 million ratings. This one is a contemporary romance. This has a second chance, trope, forced proximity, fake dating. This follows the female main character, Harriet, and the male main character, Wynn, who have been the perfect couple since college. Well, they graduated college and have since broken up 6 months earlier to when this book starts to take place, and they haven't told their friends yet. They then find themselves sharing a room in Maine while on their friend group's yearly vacation. They then decide to pretend to be dating so they don't ruin the trip. So for this book, and I think with all of Emily Henry's books, they hit different depending on where you are in your life when you read them. For me, this book hit so hard. I read it at the absolute perfect time, and I could relate to the female main character literally to the core. I'm pretty sure Harriet is me from another timeline. I would say that this book is absolutely worth the hype, but again, I thoroughly believe that your rating and how much you like it will depend on where you are in your life. I gave this book 5 stars, and I loved it. Emily Henry has a lot of books that are popular on Book Talk right now. She just released another book, Funny Story, back in April, I think, which is also a great book. I recently finished reading Book Lovers by her, which I gave 5 stars as well, which I loved. But I think that overall, Emily Henry does a great job writing characters that are real. They have real struggles and real feelings and real thoughts, and it just like feels like you really are in the book with the characters. So for this book, it really feels like you are on a trip with this friend group. So that is it. If you have any other Book Talk books that you think that I should read and review for you, let me know down below. Yeah, have you read any of these? Did you love any? Did you not love any? What are your thoughts? As always, I will have my Goodreads and my Instagram linked down below. Also, just started a Patreon. We're still figuring that out. The link is down below if you want to go just check it out, see what's going on over there. Make sure to subscribe, because if you made it here and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Thank you so much for watching. Bye.